Hey everybody, and welcome to another very special episode of Book Jackets, where we talk about books that are in the media center that middle school students love to read. Today we're actually doing something a little bit different. We are highlighting a very special guest, Kenya Rooks, 8th grade student and winner of the 1st District RESA Young Georgia Authors Award. So it's a little bit different. This isn't about a specific book in the media center. This is about poetry in general and her poem that she's going to read for us today. I'm your host, Mr. Austin, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get started.
Okay, let's go.
And talk about poetry in general. What does poetry mean to you?
Poetry to me, I really consider it like food for the mind, if that makes sense. I don't know how to really explain it, but like it's different aspects, like, you know, different genres of movies. It's different types of poetry. Slam poetry. You got free verse. You got like open mic and all that stuff, and it's like it's just food for the mind. It makes you think. And
it's not as simple as just regular words.
Right.
It is something that makes your mind turn.
Yes.
I think my favorite sort of definition of poetry is a moment of intense emotion reflected in tranquility. So
that was deep.
Yeah, I like that
was
William Wordsworth, which is the best name for a poet ever, Wordsworth. But he that was his thought on poetry, was that it's having that deep feelings, and when you're out of that feeling, thinking back on it and kind of putting it down. And also, it's really just playing with words.
Right.
You know, like it's just having fun with it, and also enjoying how words sound on the tongue.
When you get to fill up, you're like, "Ooh, I did that."
Yeah, I mean, same thing with, and this is the big thing, y'all. Poetry is also music.
Thank you. And people like, I don't like poetry. You listen. I know you got a favorite artist. I know you do. Right.
Absolutely. So when songwriters do the exact same thing. One just happens to have a musical beat to it. One is just words, and they're both just got that. So, without further ado, let's hear yours. Okay, so she is reading her poem "In My Adolescence," which won that first district RESA Young Georgia Authors. So let's hear this.
Okay. Right now, in my adolescence, I'm learning some lessons, like how to deal with my stress and my patience. Teenage girl in a big world trying to make it. No real hard struggles, just obstacles that I'm facing. Sometimes I want to be isolated. They see me joyful with bright colors, but some days I'm dull and faded. So excuse me if I'm feeling bad. It's just one of them phases. An accelerated person who sometimes feel jaded. I'm also learning I need to be more responsible. I need to pull myself together or hold myself more accountable. I know sometimes things can get impossible, but anything that you find hard, beat the obstacle. Right now in my adolescence, I'm learning some lessons. I'm struggling to keep out my emotions inside. Who can I run to? Cause I'm too tired to hide. Nicki Minaj said to live, it doesn't mean you're alive. Drake said not everybody lives but dies. I learned that life is like a party you don't know about. Surprise. I'm doing everything I can to keep my spirit alive. It's a World War III within me with my heart and my mind. I'm a happy person and I'll continue to be. Sometimes it's just a hole in my soul when it leaves me bleak, choked up on my words and hard for me to speak. It's hard for me to express myself when I'm feeling weak. Right now in my adolescence, I'm learning some lessons. I'm learning that life is like bumpy roads and rough pavement. I'm a child of God, I'll say it with no hesitation. This is me in my teens, but I know there's more life awaiting. I can't speak for every teen, but I know a lot can relate. If we made it this far, then why should we terminate? We're gonna flourish and thrive and open every gate and break any barrier that tries to get in our way. Seeing what you've been through is like a labyrinth escape, and when it's all done, it's relief and a break. I speak for every teen that tries to forget that good things always come to those who wait.
Oh, it's poetry. You snap.
You gotta snap. You
don't clap. You snap. That is awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So walk me through like your process and like what kind of inspires you to write poetry like this.
So the process of me writing this, I was in one of my depressed girl stages. We're not going to talk about that much. But I was just like, because whatever I feel, I have to write it down. And what I feel, I write. And so I was just like, I'm not going to just make this about me. I want to make something that everyone can relate to. And not just only for teens. I know adults go through this all the time too. Right. Yes. So I wanted to write something that everyone could relate to. And I know that we're going to overcome that struggle. So, because you can say that you've been through it. because good things always come to those who wait.
Absolutely, and that's awesome. And here's the thing, and when we teach poetry in school, a lot of times students feel like it's a very sort of boring, dry process. But writing poetry is not. It's not a boring and dry, because what you're doing is you are connecting to something in you,
right, and
you are creating something, and you're picking out the best words and the best phrases and the best sounds, and that's another thing.
Because when I write, I don't want to make, like, exhilarated means happy. I don't want to just say happy. I want to get something that, like, oh, what that word means.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, and honestly, that's something that does take time. It takes, your first poem ain't going to be the best, you know. But, same thing as your first song or your first anything. First anything is
because you get better as you go.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, really, you can apply that to all kinds of poems.
Yeah.
And reading poetry is also what I recommend is read poetry out loud. Because poetry is not meant to be silent.
And that is so true. And it can be like, that's like with any book. It can be like, it also depends on who reads it, because it's not interesting until you like put like automatopoeias or
right. In your head, it just doesn't it doesn't make that same sound as your mouth. Your voice does when you say it out loud, and it has that impact. So, how do you think poetry helps us, moves us, changes people?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like, especially, let's say you don't realize you need it until you really hear it. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when you, like, hear it, it's just like, wow, I didn't know I could relate to that so much. Like, that's how it moves people. And I don't think people realize it until they, like, people just normally, like, music, people normally just listen to the beats and not really what the words they're listening to. Like, dang, they really said something dope. Like,
absolutely. And, like, especially with poetry, sometimes people ignore the common, as in just what we have every day, right? I think someone once said that, life is full of miracles, but they happen every day, and so we call them ordinary.
Oh.
And so,
I heard that one.
Yeah, I love that one. But the thing is, when you have just the ordinary, you kind of get numb to it. So what poetry does is takes the extraordinary and takes that interesting way of saying it and pulls it out there.
Yeah.
And that way you can go, wait a minute, I do feel that. Wait, I do connect to that. So, and this is a big one, and I have an answer for this, but I want to get a student answer for this. If someone asked you, why should I care about poetry? What would you tell them?
It's different. It's life.
Yeah.
It's life. It can be put to so many things. It can be about anything, from your dog, your cat, to the universe. Like, it could be about what we're doing in the library. It can mean so much that I don't really know how to explain it, because it can mean so much.
That's the thing. Poetry is so deep. It's a deep subject, and there's something for everybody. Everybody. And as you can see, I have a bunch of poetry books kind of laid out here. Some of these are older, like this one. Very old, as you can see. Robert Frost.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that wrote Two Roads Diverge in a Yellow Wood, and I Take the Road Less Traveled.
We talked about one of them in some class.
Right. Oh, absolutely. He's read a lot, and
I've heard that one.
But we also have a few more modern ones, like The House on Mango Street.
Okay.
And I have a bunch of new ones as well. But they also have the wide range of topics, like this one, And We Rise, the Civil Rights Movement in Poetry.
I might need that one right now.
So, it can take historical events. It can take feelings that certain people feel, feelings that people have had to go through.
Yes.
And define them and make them huge. And then there are even these, like, this is called Starfish. It's a new book we have in the Media Center. That is actually a novel in verse. So it is a book, but it's written as poetry.
Got you.
And this particular one is about a girl, an adolescent, who is a bit larger, and her dealing with, how people bully her, how she feels about herself.
Wow.
So there's just a ton here that people use to reflect. And a lot of times, by looking at other people's reflections, we can see ourselves. We can take something out of that, and it's in a way that's a little different than just telling you. Because I can just say, be happy. Or I could say, good things come to those who wait.
Yeah,
okay?
it don't sound
but it doesn't sound
interesting.
And it doesn't have an impact. But then with this poem, you are taking your experiences, you are taking what you're thinking, and you are showing it. Right? So, last thing, and this last question is because April, I know that this is airing in March, but it's about to be April. April is National Poetry Month.
I never knew that.
Yes.
I literally never knew that.
And it's a month a lot of people use to dedicate towards poetry.
Okay.
And so, do you have a favorite poet?
Maya Angelou. Most definitely Maya Angelou. And I love, it was one of her poems, I Could Hear the Cage Bird Sing. Yes. Oh my goodness, I love that one so much. Wow.
I enjoyed her poetry as well. She had some very interesting thoughts.
Very much.
And beautiful way of saying things. I think my favorite poem by her is In and Out of Time.
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
It's the one that says, I have loved you in and out of time. Actually, I think they featured it on a Medea movie, actually, because she was in it. She said it, and it was.
Have you heard the one where she was like, "Love is like a virus; it can happen to anyone."
Yes,
that was, dang.
So she has some excellent poetry. I love a lot of older poetry, and when I say older, I mean like 1600s, very old. Because I think that it shows that the past has a lot of the same emotions we have, and they just had a very different way of putting it, and a very different way of looking at it, and we can pull a little bit into the present,
and a lot from the present.
But I love modern poetry too. You know, it's just all of it is just different perspectives, and it's a different way of looking at the world and other people. Right. So this has been an excellent talk. I could talk about poetry for a lot.
I loved it.
And like I said, April is National Poetry Month. We have a ton of poetry in the Media Center.
You definitely gonna see me.
And we have a ton of other things, and just remember, you know, you learn poetry in school, and it's always, you know, it can seem dry, it can seem boring, but
until you actually say it,
say it out loud, till you realize what they're saying, and you can realize it's a bit deeper, and you realize, you know what, and actually here's the thing, and you're listening to poetry all the time. If you're listening to music, you're listening to poetry. It's just when you were reading, you read with a beat. Yeah. And a lot of poems have beats. And if you give it to them, then they almost become songs.
Yeah. And but I didn't want to put a beat to this.
Right.
Because poetry, I just wanted to be. I wanted to sink in.
Right. You wanted your beat to be your voice.
Right.
Not anything else. And that's true for poetry songs. You know, there's some songs out there that. They have deep meaning, and almost they might as well be like a poem. And if you wrote them down and just read the lyrics, it'd be the same thing.
You see what Kendrick did.
Yeah. So absolutely. So this has been a great book talk, a good spotlight on a young Georgia author, and a good topic. So until next time, I have been your host, Mr. Austin, and this has been our very special guest, Kenya Rooks.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time. Hey guys, real quick, a quick announcement about book jackets. There's a lot going on right now at school. We have GMATs coming up. We have Second Step going on in Jacket Time on Fridays. So we are changing up our book jacket schedule a little bit. We're not going to be every week at the moment. We're going to kind of go into every other week. I will be putting when the next book jacket episodes is coming out in the description. And I will be letting teachers know, hey, it's up for this Friday. But I wanted to let you know, so there won't be a book jackets next week. But we are still going at it. We're still going strong, and we want to hear from students like you. So if you are interested in doing book jackets, make sure you go to the Google Classroom and fill out the form to be interested in doing it. And I pick people from that form. I look and see what books you're doing. I'm looking at what grades you're from and pulling people to fill the slot. If we don't have time this school year, we will absolutely fit you in next school year. So just wanted to give that update, and see you soon.